जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन यशोदनंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदनंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदनंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदा जमुना तीर बनचारी जमुना तीर बनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Radhe, Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe, Jai Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Vrindavana Dham, Jaya Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Chandra Nitai Gaura Chandra Gaura Hari, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vinda Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vinda Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vinda Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vinda Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajakacarya Sutotara Sata His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Nila Madhava Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Giridhari Ki Jai Sri Sri Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai Sri Sri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 12, Beyond Renunciation and Knowledge, text number 16. It's okay, take your time. Shri Uddhava Uvacha Samsaya Shrinvato Vacham Tava Yogeshwareswara Na Nivartarta Atmastho Yena Brahmyati Me Manaha Shri Uddhava Vacha Samsayaha Shrinvato Vacham Tava Yogeshwareswara Na Nivartata Atmastho Yena Brahmyati Me Manaha Shri Uddhava Vacha Samshaya Shinvato Vacham Tava Yogeshwareswara Na Nivartarta Atmastho Yena Brahmyati Me Manaha. Please chant. Shri Uddhava Vacha Sansaya Shinvato Vacham Tava Yogeshwareswara Na Nivartata Atmastho Yena Brahmyati Me Manaha. Shri Uddhava Vacha Samsaya Shinvato Vacham Tava Yogeshwareswara Na Nivartata Atmastho Yena Brahmyati Me Manaha. Shri Uddhava Vacha Samsaya Shinvato Vacham Tava Yogeshwareswara Na Nivartata Atmastho Yena Brahmyati Me Manaha. Sri Uddhava Vacha Samsaya Shinvato Vacham Tava Yogeshwareswara Nani Vartatatmasto Yena Brahmyati Me Manaha. Sri Uddhava Vacha. Sri Uddhava said, Samsayaha, doubt, Srinvataha, of the one who is hearing, Vacham, the words, Tava, your, Yoga Ishvara, of the lords of mystic power, Ishvara, you who are the Lord. Na nivartate, will not go away. Atma, in the heart. Staha, situated. Yena, by which. Brahmyati, is bewildered. Me, my. Manaha, mind. Translation and purport by the disciple of His Divine Loving Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Uddhava said, O Lord of all masters of mystic power, I have heard your words, but the doubt in my heart does not go away. Thus my mind is bewildered.
Purport. In the first verse of the 10th chapter of this canto, the Lord stated that one should take shelter of Him and execute one's duties within the Varnashrama system, without material desire. Uddhava interpreted this statement as recommending karma mishra bhakti, or devotional service mixed with a tendency toward fruitive activities. It is a fact that until one understands Lord Krishna to be everything, it is not possible to retire from ordinary worldly duties. Rather, one is encouraged to offer the fruits of such work to the Lord. In verse 4 of the 10th chapter, the Lord recommended that one retire from worldly duties and systematically cultivate knowledge, accepting Him as the Supreme. Uddhava understood this instruction to indicate Jnana Mishra Bhakti, or devotional service to the Lord mixed with the secondary desire to accumulate knowledge. Beginning with verse 35 of the 10th chapter, Uddhava inquired about the process of material conditioning and liberation from material life. The Lord replied elaborately, stating that without a devotional service, the process of philosophical speculation can never be perfected. In chapter 11, verse 18, the Lord emphasized the importance of faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in verse 23, Krishna extensively widened his discussion of devotional service, emphasizing that one should be faithful and hear and chant the glories of the Lord. The Lord concluded that both the development and perfection of devotional service depend on association with the devotees. In verse 26 of the 11th chapter, Uddhava inquired about the actual ways and means of devotional service and about the symptoms of devotional perfection. And in verse 48, Lord Krishna stated that unless one takes to the process of devotional service, one's attempt for liberation will be useless. One must associate with the devotees of the Lord and follow in their footsteps. Finally, in verse 14 of this chapter, the Lord categorically rejected the paths of fruitive activities and mental speculation. And in verse 15 recommended that one exclusively surrender unto Him with all one's heart. Having received such elaborate and technical instructions on the perfection of life, Uddhava is bewildered, and his mind is afflicted with doubt about what he should actually do. Lord Krishna has described many procedures, and the results of such procedures, all of which ultimately led to the single goal of Lord Krishna himself. Uddhava therefore desires that Lord Krishna state in simple terms what should be done. Arjuna makes a similar request of the Lord at the beginning of the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Uddhava is stating here, My dear friend Krishna, first you recommend that I perform worldly activities within the Varnashrama system, and then you advise that I reject such activities and take to the path of philosophical research. Now, rejecting the path of jnana, you recommend that I simply surrender unto you in Bhakti Yoga. If I accept your decision, in the future you may again come back to your original point and recommend worldly activities. By his boldness in disclosing his mind, Uddhava reveals his intimate friendship with Lord Krishna.
Thank you. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhaya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, we can just put yesterday's Srinivas Prabhu's class and it will cover everything. He has very nicely described. Here it is describing the doubts. So he's asking questions. In the Vedic literature, there Haridas are described, right? Haridas means the devotee of the Lord. And it described that Pandavas, and among Pandavas, Yudhishthira Maharaj was a Haridas. He was a devotee of the Lord. And it described better than him is Uddhava. And better than Uddhava is? Giriraj Govardhan. He is Haridas Varyo. He is the best of Haridas, best of the devotee of the Lord. He is Krishna himself, but he is also a devotee. So, some devotee worship him as a Haridas Varyo, as a devotee of Krishna. I remember when one devotee came, he was telling me, he says that, why we are offering Tulsi garland to Giriraj? I said, why not? He is Krishna. Oh, you are worshipping him as a Krishna. He thought that we are worshipping as devotee of Krishna. So devotee of Krishna don't accept Tulsi. Only accept as a prasadam of Krishna. But here we are worshipping him as a Krishna, not different than Krishna. So this Uddhava is not an ordinary person, right? We see, as Prabhu was mentioning yesterday and also today in the purport it described, that Arjuna also got bewildered. In the second chapter it described that all the different processes. And in the third chapter, beginning of the third chapter, same question Arjuna asked, that if you want me to, you are telling me I have to accept the varnashram dharma and perform my duty. And then you were saying also at the end of the second chapter, you give up everything. Because it was contents of Gita summarized, right? So you give up everything. So now why you want me to get involved in this ghastly warfare? Right? That's what the Arjuna's question was. So similarly, Arjuna got bewildered for us. Right? He was representing the ordinary human beings. Otherwise, Krishna told Arjuna, right? Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tachava Arjuna, that you and I come many, many times. Srila Prabhupada says that Arjuna comes with Krishna many times. He is an eternally liberated soul. Why would he get confused about his duties? But it is for us to give this knowledge. And same thing is Uddhava is doing here. Because we see here that this whole chapter is beyond renunciation and knowledge. So there is no question of yoga practice or jnana yoga or anything like that, because this is beyond. And few verses ago, even Krishna is talking about the highest rasa, right? About the gopis. He's dealing with the gopis. So these are very elevated subject matter. However, the Uddhava is representing all of us, and he's saying that, these are, what is this? I have little doubt. So this, in the Bhagavatam, it described that when, in assembly of devotee, when the questions are asked, Sutta Goswami was glorifying Shaunaka Rishi, that you have asked the question which is benefit to the one who is asking question, one who is answering, and one who is listening. So it's beneficial to everyone. So here that's why the Uddhava is asking the question that I have a doubt, and disciple of Srila Prabhupada, especially Hridayananda Maharaj, is very nicely describing how this process of Mishra Bhakti, right? Karma Mishra, Jnana Mishra, as Prabhu was describing nicely. So all this process are, when they are tinged with bhakti, but at the same time it's not pure devotional service, then it's all mixed bhaktis, and mixed bhakti won't give you the pure devotional service. Even though you may think, or one may think that, we are performing devotional service, but because of all the different desires we have, like yesterday you were saying that somebody have a maybe desire to be a nice kirtan leader, or nice giving class, or do nice service, or make nice garland, or dress nicely, cook nicely, distribute many books. These are all devotional service, but we may get into the mind start telling us that we are the best, we are doing this nice, we are doing that nice, I can do better than anyone else. When I chant, everybody is in ecstasy, right? So all this give us a false pride, right? And Rishikesha Rishikena Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. Unless we utilize our senses in Krishna's senses, we will not get the pure devotional service. Otherwise, it's all upadhi. Like you were saying yesterday, all this thing would just keep us away. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was showing Mahaprakash Leela, and one time there was a brahmachari. He wanted to come and join into the kirtan, right? And he asked Srivas, and Srivas said that, only few people are allowed, and he said, please, let me come, I've been drinking only milk, right? So he said, I'm sustaining myself by only drinking milk. Anyway, so Srivas Thakur says, okay, you can just hide here in the back and just see the Sankirtan. So when the Sankirtan started, Mahaprabhu said, I'm not feeling it. There is some unauthorized person here. So Srivas Thakur said that, yes, my lord, this brahmachari, but he is very nice brahmachari. He just drink only milk. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that just to get Krishna Prem, all you have to do is just drink only milk. That's all you require? He said, no. So we can see that how it is that one can get deviated by this, right? Within our moment, one of the original guru was eating off the floor. Because some Babaji do that. Some Babaji just, and that person went away from Krishna consciousness, But at the same time, he's a very humble devotee that he came back. But the point is that all these things is artificial. These are not the pure devotional service. But our mind may think that it is pure devotional service. Like when we see Babaji, Babaji can go to the latrine and just sit in there and chant. It's not possible for us to do it. But these are very, very advanced devotees. So we should not artificially try to do it. In the early days of Iskcon, in Los Angeles temple, some devotee, they understood that, Gopi's mood is the best, right? So they had, Gopi Bhava club. So they don't read even Bhagavad Gita, because that's preliminary. The highest thing is Gopi Bhava. So they talk about the gopis and, and Srila Prabhupada become very upset, Prabhupada said, you deserve than desire. You are not that platform. Don't artificially try to do that. And that is what happened when so many times we hear the Bhagavatam, right? Like Prabhupada say, professional reciters, when they chant and they talk about Krishna's pastime, they talk about, how Krishna went away and the Brijabasis were very unhappy that Krishna left, and they started crying, and the people who are sitting, they start crying, and they all think that they are in a Krishna Prem, But this is, Prabhupada says that one has to be very careful. Of course, it says in the Bhagavatam that by hearing this Krishna Katha, we can get purified. But Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna Katha means you hear about Krishna's activity, not only his Vrindavan activity. Prabhupada was in South India, he stayed at it was I think a state high court judge or something like that. He was materially advanced. So Prabhupada stayed at his house, and then they had a nice Krishna. And him and his wife wanted to hear pastime of Radha and Krishna. And Prabhupada says that no, that is not our position. And that guy kept on insisting. Prabhupada says that, what to speak of you, I am not even qualified to say it. Of course, Prabhupada was qualified, but Prabhupada was teaching that this is artificial. And it described, I think Giriraj Maharaj was saying that at his house, the Krishnas, they were putting all the clothes, only black clothes. So they asked, why you are putting only black clothes on Krishna? He said his bodily effulgence is so much, so we can see his bodily effulgence is so much, so then we just put the dark color clothes, so that way at least we can see him. So there are so many mental concoction. Where in scripture it says anything like that? Of course it says that devotees are requesting Krishna that please remove your effulgence so we can see your beauty, right? They are praying, devotees are praying. Sri Upanishad has a prayer. But this is how the devotees are requesting Krishna. But Prabhupada says that we must understand that Krishna is always Krishna, doesn't matter what is his age. And doesn't matter what activity he does, he is still the Supreme Lord. And we should understand all his activities, not just try to understand Braja Leela pastime or only he's dealing with the gopis. If you don't understand he's dealing with his friends, his servants, his devotees, how are you going to, understand he's dealing with the gopis? It is very difficult to understand. When Prabhupada was ready to print Krishna book in India, Sumati Morarji was ready to give a donation, but she said that you should not put Radha Krishna on the front cover. And say, why not? Because she was coming from Sampradaya where the Krishna is worshipped as a little baby boy. And Prabhupada appreciated their mood. Prabhupada really appreciated. Prabhupada said that's very nice mood, because when you consider Krishna as a small boy, then you want to serve him. You don't think about asking anything. Prabhupada said that's a very good mood. That with little child, what do you expect? Nothing. You just serve the child. So similarly, Prabhupada said that's a very good mood. However, she was saying that you should not put Radha Krishna picture on top. Just put Bal Gopal picture, then I'll give donation. And Prabhupada says no. So one has to understand properly, and only way we can understand is by the mercy of the devotee. Mercy of a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, and the one who is following in his footsteps. Otherwise it's not possible. Otherwise we all can, think that we know it. It was March 1977, first time I went to the Iskcon temple in New York, that 55th Street, that big 9-story building. And I saw the devotees were dancing and, chanting, and I never seen anybody dancing in front of, like they were going back and forth, running really fast, the young brahmacharis. And I'm from India, nobody does that in India. And in India I have never seen devotee or heard. Of course, Prabhupada was preaching in India, and Prabhupada talked about Surat, which was only about 30-40 miles from where I come from, but I never heard of Prabhupada, never heard anything. And when I went to the temple, I saw the devotees are going, running and chanting and dancing, and and I said, I don't know what they are doing. And I thought, I know Krishna from my childhood. These people don't know. This is what is stopping us to do anything nicely. And it took me at least 6 years before I came back to be little serious or started chanting. Otherwise, I didn't do it. And I always thought that I know better. I thought that, Srila Prabhupada gave this Krishna Leela because it's more colorful than like Lord Ramchandra's pastime. I come from a village where we had a Sitaram Lakshman small temple. Not that I was a worshipper of Lord Ramchandra, any temple you go, just bow down and ask for something material. Pure devotional service, there's no understanding, zero understanding, but at the same time, I'm not ready to listen to anybody. Forget about Karma Mishra and Gnana Mishra and nothing. No Mishra, no Bhakti. Jai Shri Shri Radha Nila Madhav Radha Giridhari Giriraj Govardhan Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. So there are so many misconceptions. And that's why here the Uddhava is asking particular question. And at the last paragraph is very nicely described that Uddhava's understanding was that varnashrama system, that one follow varnashrama system properly and one can become a pure devotee. It's not that one who is following varnashrama cannot become a pure devotee, that's not what it means, but just by following that doesn't mean anything. If one follow the varnashrama system properly for 100 lifetimes, then one become Brahma. That's all. That's the result of perfectly following varnashram dharma. Unless one is following Daivi varnashram dharma, it means that one try to follow Krishna consciousness according to varna and ashram. Then it's proper. Otherwise, varnashram dharma won't give you the pure devotional service. It may give you some stepping stone, but ultimately you need a mercy of a devotee. Without that, there's nothing happen. And Prabhupada was so brilliant. What did he do? He just engaged everyone in giving Krishna to others. Everyone. And that is how, because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, one who gives this knowledge to others are most dear to me. Past, present and future. And Prabhupada just say, okay, here it is. You want to become dear to Krishna? This is the process. Otherwise, how can one become a devotee? Right? How many Prabhupada says 700 or some translation of Bhagavad Gita in English and not a one devotee. 700 Bhagavad Gita and not a one devotee. Prabhupada's own god brother. Prabhupada said they were very senior to me. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj was supporting them from India, giving them Lakshmi and everything. They spent few months in London and came back. So it couldn't be done. Couldn't be done. Even Sridhar Maharaj said one time on Prabhupada's Disciples Day in Vrindavan that your Guru Maharaj understood. Your Guru Maharaj had a mentality, he was saying. So it sounded like he was criticizing Prabhupada. But devotee understood that he was glorifying Prabhupada. That yes, other people didn't have that mentality. They didn't think that Krishna is a Lord of everyone, all living entity. Theoretically they understood, but not practically. Srila Prabhupada looked at each and every person as a devotee of Krishna and how to engage them in Krishna's service. And that's how the devotees see it, right? You guys go out and distribute books, and many times you see that here is the person. And Prabhupada says that one is maybe wealthy person, one is maybe the beautiful person, one may have a very nice material advancement, intelligence, whatever it may be. But Krishna is giving them, and how we can utilize that in Krishna's service. George Harrison wants to show up and join the temple. And Prabhupada said, no, Krishna has given you the unique ability. You write a song and glorify the Lord. That will be a bigger service than just joining the temple. So that's the beauty of it, that how we can utilize everything in Krishna's service. And that become slowly but surely pure devotional service. And all we have to do is just stay in association. Right? Without association, our associate with our own mind, or the people who think that we are great and we associate with them, that's a disaster. That recipe that don't work. Sometimes somebody would say, Prabhu, you give the best class. I think he understands me. Right? Our mind tells me. He understands, the other don't understand. This is how our mind works. These are the trap. Maya get us. But if we are with the devotee, then it's fine. At least we are protected. Right? In our Iskcon temple, Srila Prabhupada is our founder Acharya. Right? And the one who follow in his footsteps, they are our senior, they are our well-wisher, they are our guide. Then we are protected. Otherwise, with our own mind, so many things will come and think about it. And we have a different way of thinking that, oh, this is... And sometimes we say, well, why the person is doing like that? Why the authority is doing like that? I would never do that. So, I was listening in Prabhupada's memory, one of the devotees was saying that one time somebody told Prabhupada that this our temple president, he don't chant. Prabhupada said, oh, he must be very busy with his service. Then Prabhupada said, Arjuna was chanting on the battlefield. Prabhupada said, Arjuna was chanting on the battlefield. He was doing service to please Krishna. So he didn't criticize that devotee or anything like that. Prabhupada was very merciful. Prabhupada said that yes, he must have a lot of service, that's why he couldn't chant. Prabhupada may have talked to him later on, but outwardly he didn't criticize or he didn't agree with the other devotees or anything like that. He just said that he may have a lot of service, that's why he couldn't chant. And Arjuna wasn't chanting. So how Prabhupada expertly utilized everyone in Krishna's service and pushing them, convincing them. Because for us, we have a certain way of thinking and that's what we think. Somebody is good and somebody is not good and somebody is okay and, people have a hard time understanding my greatness. It's physical things we can give up and we can follow, but this mental, subtle thing, it's very difficult to give up. Very difficult. We don't know even we have that problem. So how can we give up, right? What is that? AA, Alcohol Anonymous. The first thing is that you accept that you have a problem. So the subtle problems, we don't even realize that we have a problem. So it's very difficult to overcome. And that's why in the scripture we have so many examples that devotee go through. Right? Jad Bharat didn't want to even talk with anybody. Because what happened in previous life, by Krishna's mercy, he remembered, he just don't want to bother to talk to anybody, whatever they do. Right? His brothers were putting him on one side, bull, and other side him to plow the field. He didn't protest. They would make him a scarecrow, what they call, in the field, right? So he would just sit there. That way the birds won't come and eat the grains. Right? The dacoits want to just offer him as a sacrifice to Kali. And Kali herself came out to protect him. So he was just, he don't want to get involved in any of this thing because there was a small little mistake, he has to come as a deer. The same person who gave up the kingdom of the whole world. So the scriptures are full of examples to guide us that how Prabhupada says it's a razor's age. We can't just have a little difficulty, little problem, we would have a havoc in our devotional life. But at the same time, devotees are kind. So as long as we stay with devotees, we are protected. So I'll stop here. If anyone has any question, any comments, any correction. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for class, Prabhu. So all these things we have on the mental platform, like these misconceptions, like I'm great at this or that. Like, what are some ways that we can go past that, or kind of just get over those things?
Well, like association, but also Rupa Goswami tells us those 6 ways, right? That we have to, especially we have to reveal our mind to others. So that way they can help us. If we know that that's the problem. Sometimes we don't know that we have a problem. But the same devotee would also tell us that you have this problem. And then we realize, yes, I do have that problem. Just like the parents tell their children, right, that, oh, you have this problem. And the child would think, wait a minute, why you are telling me I don't have that problem? Right? No. We all do it, right? When we were a little kid. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. The little child would go and, he just want to have a candy and just go hand over there and somebody said, take it. You want candy, huh? No. No. But the others would help us, and same thing with the spiritual master would help us, Spiritual master would help us. That's why it says that, Krishna is within and out. Without, outside is the spiritual master. Krishna is guiding them. So Prabhupada said many times, one time my Guru Maharaj was saying that in Vrindavan Prabhupada was sleeping and Prabhupada woke up early, 1 o'clock in the morning, and he was trying to translate. And some devotee were like snoring loudly. So he was like, Prabhupada came out next day and said, somebody is snoring very loudly, maybe they should sleep little in the next room or something like that, so that way I won't get disturbed. So everybody look at him, I don't snore. So then Prabhupada looked at it, all the devotees, and they all each one is like saying, not me, Yes. So next day, next night they were sleeping and, Prabhupada came and Prabhupada was kicking the devotee who was snoring, and it was my Guru Maharaj. My Guru Maharaj said, I was snoring and the Prabhupada kicked me, and the Prabhupada says that you go sleep in the next room. So we don't know that we have a problem. It's like that. We are sleeping in this material world. We are not awakened, spiritually fully awakened. That's why some of the things we don't know ourselves. You like to add something, Prabhu?
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Very beautiful. Lots of wisdom. Thank you. When you were mentioning that, how we think we know, Prabhupada has come and it has been 50 plus years, but things are still in India. There's one, saint from Shankaracharya Mutt. He was criticizing how, all these Western monks are coming and they're giving initiation to Indians. And he was like, we haven't even done that for people in Varnashrama system, not for Shudras, not for Vaishyas. These guys are coming who are literally mlechas outside the system of Vedas, and they are coming and initiating us. And this guy, he's one of the great saints in the Mutt, of this Shankaracharya Mutt. And it's shocking to see, even after so long, people's mentality hasn't changed and they haven't recognized what are the true principles that Krishna has given. So it's very unfortunate.
It is. Srila Prabhupada's godbrother didn't realize that. Right? Prabhupada write very heavy words in the Caitanya Charitamrita. And even 67, 68, when Achyutananda Swami first time, he was in India. And he met Prabhupada's godbrother, and they say that actually, Prabhupada is not preaching. It's Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj is preaching. So they were trying to minimize Prabhupada, but they were trying to say, of course Prabhupada always said it is the mercy of my Guru Maharaj. But they started saying that. He said actually Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj is not preaching, it's actually Mahaprabhu is preaching. And he wrote a letter. There were 4 sannyasi in America at that time. Kirtananda Swami was there, Vishnujan Swami was there, I believe Brahmananda Swami and maybe Gargamuni. And there were 4 sannyasis. So when they heard these things, and they says that, that means But Mahaprabhu is Krishna. So it means it's Krishna is preaching everything, not actually Prabhupada. So, yes, ultimately, Dharma to Sakshat Bhagavad Panita, the religion comes from Krishna, not anywhere else. But still, at the same time, our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, as a founder Acharya, was preaching everybody, but this was the mood, and that is how it started spreading in, and Prabhupada says that the poison is spreading in the moment, and they are trying to minimize. So this is something very, very unfortunate, that it says that Mahaprabhu's glory will be sang in all over the world, every town and village. Prabhupada had that faith that yes, in those words. But his God brothers, they didn't have that faith. That's why they couldn't do anything. And they were not ordinary person also. They were very advanced, They were associate of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. They were very senior disciple. But at the same time, at the end of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, his physical presence, he realized that the same devotee, there's so many years they are advanced and everything, but they are all looking for some prestige, looking for some, what Prabhupada says, that nice overlooking room to see, they can see Ganga and whatnot, They were fighting for the nice room. You can imagine. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj wrote to Prabhupada, you stay away from all this politics. You preach to the English-speaking world, and whenever you have money, you print the book. So we can see that how difficult it is. That these are the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj's senior disciples, and they have a misconception. Even they told Prabhupada also, you can't go over ocean like that. That's the belief that if any sannyasi or anybody who go over the ocean and the other side, it means that you go with and associate with the Malachas and you become Malachas and you are not qualified anymore. They don't understand the purity of the holy name. Look at this temple in the middle of Texas. It's all Prabhupada's mercy and His Prabhupada's purity that we also can come here. Otherwise, where we would be? I didn't come here for Krishna. I came here for almighty dollar. Right? All Indians came for what? Jai Shri Shri Radha Nila Madhav ki Jai, Radha Giridhari Giriraj Govardhan Gaur Nitai ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you. No. Jai Prabhupada.